Hello, how are you? Nice to be here again. Well, we're entering a spring, so today has been a wonderful, beautiful day. And today we're gonna taste a very unique wine. This wine is from Undurraga Winery. Remember that we're gonna taste many wines from Undurraga Winery. And also, this is one of the most traditional wineries that was founded in 1870. So, and they brought fine stocks from France, mainly from Bordeaux, Burgundy, and Alsacia. So here we have two varieties. They're not very, very common in Chile. They're planted, but they're not like not all the wineries do have these two varieties. This is a blend of Riesling and Sauvignon Gris. Okay? Riesling was introduced in Chile from 1850. And Sauvignon Gris, the first time that was introduced was 1830 till 1850. But when I started working in wines about 27 years ago, you didn't hear about Sauvignon Gris. Wineries start isolating the vines and producing a varietal of Sauvignon Gris, and then became kind of famous. And many wineries that they had in the vineyard Sauvignon Gris start vinifying the Sauvignon Green by itself. It was part of the Sauvignon Blanc. Okay, so this wine belongs to the range of Undurraga Winery that is called TH Terroir Hunter, but has a different name within the range. Is called Rarities because it's something unique. As I have been telling you in different videos, Chile is very, very diverse. And we have many different varieties for different type of soil, different climate. And also, what happens is that the even though Undurraga, I told you this before, Undurraga is one of the largest winery in Chile. The main winemaker, Rafael Urrejola, can have the space and the capacity of doing unique things. And this is one of them. These are very small blocks, and they're very small lots. So what they do, they blend. This changes vintage from vintage. So, 2023 vintage will not be the same. So they blend different barrels or they blend different tanks and they create unique wines. And this is the case. Well, this wine has also a very different characteristic. This is an orange wine. What is an orange wine? Well, let me tell you that when I started working in wines about 27 years ago, I was taught that white wines never ferment with the skin. They can have a skin maceration and skin contact for some hours to extract because everything, the flavors, the aromas, is on the skin. So, but not the fermentation and not the aging with the skin. Why? Because the skin of the white varietals gets oxidated, and when it gets oxidated, turns orange. But today, it's something that is on fashion and is desirable, but also doesn't only change the color of the wine, also the mouth is totally different. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about this wine. Okay, so it's TH Rarity, so it's a blend of Riesling and Sauvignon Gris, vintage 2022. I'm gonna pour it, look at the color. It might seem a very old wine if we were pouring a white wine, like oxidated wine, maybe, almost like cherry, but it's not like that at all. So let's read a little bit about the tasting notes. Well, the source where sourced this wine is the grapes is Leida Valley. Leida Valley is a cool coastal valley located about 96 kilometers from Santiago, southwest from Santiago, on the coastal mountain range. The coastal mountain range, remember that they're the oldest soil that we can find in Chile, and in this case has a surface of clay, and then we have this composed granite. So we have a lot of minerality in this wine. And This is a cool valley where we have a lot of influence of the Pacific Ocean, and that means cool climate. Why? Because the Pacific Ocean in Chile has this influence from the Humboldt Current. That's a cool current that comes from the Antarctica, goes north, and then every single day we get this cool breeze that comes inland together with morning fog. So the temperatures are more controlled, not really high and not really low. The this vintage we had, during this year we had very low rain, so that translated very low yields for these two varietals. So let's talk about a little bit about how this wine was made. So as I told you before, this is a range that is called Terroir Hunter, because the idea is to get the best expression of the variety. But since Chile is so diverse, we can have different expressions of the same variety. We did that exercise with the two Sauvignon Blancs last time, one for Ville Marie and one from Leyda, both from the coastal area, but from different parts, more or less like 400 kilometers apart. Well, this vintage, first of all, the grapes were harvested in 12 kilos boxes, and they were partially steamed by hand, and they were vinified with their skins. Remember that usually we have a skin contact for some hours to get, the flavors, the aroma, and everything, and then it goes to the press, and we only get the juice. But in this case, the grapes were co-fermented. The two varieties were co-fermented, not separately. Usually, when you make a blend, it's the typical thing. You ferment one variety on one side, then you ferment the second variety. Maybe you can age the varieties separately, and then you make the final blend. In this case, they were co-fermented in a very small tank. So vinified with the skin as a red wine, and then after this period, the wine remained in contact with the skin for 3 months. Then the wine was aged for 6 months in neutral barrel. So here we have, the oxidation, the evolution in the berry through the porosity of the oak, but we don't have the influence of the flavors of the oak, so it's neutral. And that's usually the tendency that is today, even with the red wines. So let's see. After that, uh, as I told you before, this was we had little rain, so very low yields. And this wine is more made as a red wine. So we're going to see the result. Okay. As I told you before, if you look at it, it seems like a Chardonnay because of the color. Maybe it's a little more to the brown, to the orange side of the Chardonnay. But the Chardonnay usually, when it's fermented in oak, is exposed to the oxidation, and this was the case. Okay, so this wine was fermented in an oxidative environment, and uh, and so you can tell that first of all, the color is something different. If you think, oh, has Riesling, has Sauvignon Gris, and it's this color, and it's 2022. It doesn't make much sense at all. But this is because the wine was fermented and aged for 3 months with the skin. So the color is an orange, like, very, has like a golden hue, beautiful color, brilliant, clear, perfect on the eyes. We're going to get it close to the nose. It's very particular. It's very particular. You can feel like orange blossom, like tangerine and orange zest, but you know how, like a little bit like toasted, um, burn. It's not like the fresh orange peel. It's different. I can feel some white fruit, like apricots, like white peach, and also quince. In Chile, we ate a lot of quince when we were kids. We used to take to the school one quince really hard, so we have the smell in our memory all the time. In the States, it's not very common. In Europe, it's more common. Okay, so and it seems more like a like a cherry because of the oxidative environment. It's not like a fresh Sauvignon Blanc blended with Riesling. It's different because of the oxidative environment during the fermentation. It's much more complex in the nose. I'm going to put it in the mouth, and I will bet here will surprise me because remember that this wine fermented with the skin, and the skins have tannins. Of course, the red skins have more tannins than the whites, but mm, well, in the mouth, it's very complex, has a lot of flavor, weight, and also you can feel the tannins. You can feel like very thin, very soft, like a sandy sensation in your mouth. But also you can feel the creaminess, and the creaminess is provided by the oak. It's round, it's complex, lingers. So here I would recommend complex food because the wine has weight, it's very persistent, and the flavors are very very powerful. So you need something powerful to pair with this wine. I would go like with fish with preparation, with like strong preparation with spices, maybe chicken, but with a lot of condiment spices. I would say white meats. Also, I can say pork. Could be pork, like loin of pork. Very nice, and also as an appetizer, with strong things. It's very particular. It's something very different. Uh, Maybe some of you may know, but I used to work for Wines of Chile for a while, and I was the hospitality manager. So I would receive, the experts and the sommeliers, master sommeliers from different countries. And I remember the first thing they asked me, "Are we going to taste orange wines?" So this is very, very particular. I have tasted mainly semillons in orange wines, but never this blend, never these two varieties. I have tasted also a field blend, but from more traditional varietals like Sauvignon Vert, for example, Semillon, those kind of varieties. Um, a little bit of Chardonnay blended there, but not Riesling and Sauvignon Gris. What I don't feel here, well, maybe it's such complex aroma that usually the Riesling, the typical typicity, expresses like gasoline. But here it's kind of blended. It's very strong when you taste Riesling, but here it's kind of blended with the oxidized aromas and the fruit aromas. It's very very particular. I always say that these orange wines are white wines that you can bite because of the tannins and the structure they can feel in your mouth. So I would really recommend this wine to taste. You have to taste the different things, and the outcome I think is great. I just want to remind you that Rafael Rejola in the International Wine Challenge this year was first nominated as the one of the best winemakers for red wine, and he won the prize. It was the third time he was nominated in the International Wine Challenge for best winemaker for red wines, but this time he won. And again, let me tell you, he does a great job with white wines as well. So, and I love this range. I think Terroir Hunter is a wonderful range in Undurraga. And as I told you before, I really, really love when large wineries can be brave enough and not think commercially all the time, and allow, let the space for the winemakers to play and create these unique wines. So nothing else that tell you that have a great weekend, and I see you next week. Cheers.